Hey guys, what's up? It's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today we are doing a video that has been long overdue, kind of, I guess. We are going to walk through a typical shift as a postpartum nurse. So before we get started, I just want to say, for those of you who have never been here before, my name is Amanda. I am 25 years old. I work as a postpartum nurse. I used to work night shift, so I previously made a typical shift as a postpartum nurse night shift edition video, which if you're interested in that, I'll have that up here for you. But I switched to day shift in November, and I figured it's time that I walk you guys through how things are different on day shift. I work days and PMs, but mainly day shift and mainly 12-hour day shift. So that's kind of what we're gonna go through today. Obviously every shift is a little different, but this is just kind of the gist of things and how everything works. So with that, let's get on into the video. So my 12-hour day shift starts at 7 a.m. goes to 7:30 p.m. So obviously starting off 7 a.m, come into work, clock in, and then I head over to the unit. Pre-COVID, we would have a huddle before every shift that would last like 5 minutes, but we don't do that anymore because of COVID. So as soon as I get to the unit, clock in and head over to get report. So from about like 7 to 7:30 is getting report on my patients. I typically have 3 couplets, which a couplet is a mom and a baby together. Occasionally we'll have just a baby if they need to stay longer, or just a mom if baby's in the NICU, or there's a few cases where we don't have that. But anyway, I typically will total have 6 patients. So 6 patients, usually 3 babies, 3 moms, but it changes. So I get report from 7 to 7:30 on those patients. If I work the day before, typically I'm getting the same patients back, so it's a little bit of a quicker report, but sometimes it takes a while. So after I finish getting report, I usually like to sit down at a computer and from like 7:30 to 8 get organized for my day. So I use a brain sheet. I made my own, kind of. I just mark out every time of the day. I have a whole video that goes into depth about making a brain sheet, which again I will have linked up here for you guys to check out if that is something that interests you. But it is so important to me to start the day getting organized so that I can stay on top of everything and don't end up running behind. Part of getting organized for the day is planning out med times for pain meds and making sure that if people need vitals more frequently than once a shift, that I am noting that in my brain sheet and noting any tasks that need to be done, or feeding times, or blood sugars, or anything specific that is something that needs to be done at a certain time, and making sure that I get that on my brain sheet. Once I am done filling out my brain sheet and getting that all organized, I start with doing my vitals and assessments on my patients. That usually takes me until about 9:30, including charting everything. The more you do it, the faster you kind of get at it. So I will go into all my rooms, kind of depending on when they're due for other things. All patients, for us at least, have a stool softener and prenatal vitamin that are due around 9, so I can give that anywhere from 8:30 to 9:30. So try to squeeze that in depending on what time I'm able to do those assessments. But doing a full head-to-toe assessment on mom and full head-to-toe assessment on baby, and vitals as well on both of them. And then I try to do as much charting as I can in the room without it being awkward. Like if I'm just sitting there charting, that's weird, so I'll just go out and do it. But I usually like to chart everything that's abnormal and their vital signs when I'm in the room, because it's really hard to remember from room to room, especially when I'm doing all my assessments at once. So once I am done doing all my vitals and assessments in every room, I like to just sit down for a sec and just double check that I am up to date with charting. That's something that's really important to me, to make sure that I am having my shift go smoothly. Obviously there's hiccups sometimes that you can't predict, but whatever. Then from about 9:30 until 11, it's a lot of breastfeeding help, which I'm also doing throughout my assessments and stuff too if they're needing help. Breastfeeding help, tasks, making sure that if patients want to go home or are going to be discharged, that the doctors are planning on seeing them and making sure that their orders are in so that they can be discharged, and that they don't need to see anyone before they go home. The common tasks that we have in postpartum, which I've talked about before, at 12 hours, babies can get a bath, they can get their hepatitis B vaccine, and they get a hearing screen. At 24 hours, we have a state metabolic screening that we do. We have a bilirubin check that we do, and we do a heart screening as well. So those are the main timed tasks for babies. So if those babies are turning that age during this time, then I do my best to get those tasks done so I don't have to leave it for the next nurse. So around 11 is usually the first that patients would be going home if they are discharging for the day. From about 11 to 1 o'clock, I am discharging anyone that is going home, going through all their education for discharging, making sure they know when they need to follow up, when they need to come back for appointments, etc. And then also if patients are Q4 vitals for various reasons, blood pressure, infection risk for babies, lots of reasons, I'm doing another set of vitals kind of around this time as well, usually between like noon and 1, getting another set of vitals on them. And then obviously, because it wouldn't be postpartum without breastfeeding education, more breastfeeding education. It's kind of a constant thing that's happening with all of our patients. Usually around 1 o'clock is when I like to take my break. It's right in the middle of a 12-hour shift, so it kind of separates my day out nicely. So from about 1 to 1:30 is when I take my lunch break. Obviously, depending on the day, depending on what's going on, sometimes I take it earlier, sometimes I take it later. I don't usually like to take it any later because I get hungry. Once I get back from my lunch, doing some more discharge education with people who are going home, or tasks, or breastfeeding help, and then making sure that I am caught up on charting from my rounds and everything. I like to try and go in and see patients every hour unless they're like sleeping and I know they're sleeping and everything's been good, or someone else has been checked in there, or someone else like a doctor has checked in recently with them. Then I don't bother them as much. So at 3 p.m. there are a handful of nurses that leave for the day. We have 8 and 12-hour shifts, so if I only work a 12-hour shift, then or an 8-hour shift, then I would leave at 3 and obviously have finished my charting and everything. But typically I work a 12-hour shift, so sometimes at 3, depending on staffing, depending on how many people I discharged, if I even discharged anyone that day, sometimes I will pick up more patients from nurses that are leaving or get an admission or something like that around 3. So from like 3 to 3:15, I have to make some time to make sure that I'm able to get report on those new patients that I may or may not have picked up. And then I also sit down at the computer and make sure that I have their meds and stuff scheduled out for the rest of my shift. And then after I am done doing that, I will go back and do another set of vitals and assessments on all my patients. So because of the way that our policies and stuff work, every patient needs some sort of vitals and assessments every 8 hours. If I already did an assessment on them, I don't have to chart a full assessment. I chart it as a reassessment and only chart what's changed. That's a hospital thing though, but I still do a full assessment. So doing a full assessment on everyone again and vitals and making sure everyone's doing okay. And then pretty much from the end of doing my vitals and stuff until about 6 o'clock, I am just checking in with patients again. Sometimes we have people who go home later in the day, in the afternoon, so discharging anyone who's going home, doing more tasks, doing breastfeeding help, education on everything, until about 6. And then at 6 I like to make a point to sit down at a computer, double check that I have finished all my charting for everyone for the day, and then also writing our care plan notes that we have to write on all of our patients, and just making sure everything is ready to go for the next shift. And then once I'm done with that, I will just do a quick round on all my patients, making sure they're not needing any water or anything, so that when I give report, it's quick and easy and I can just go in real quick and they don't need anything crazy from me or the next nurse when we do our shift report. At 7 p.m. the next shift comes in and I am able to do a report with them, hand off my patients, and then double check that my charting's done again. I always like triple check because sometimes I forget stuff, so I always double check that everything's done. And once I am done with that, then I am done for the day. I can clock out and head on home. So depending on the day and depending on how many like discharges I have, or if I have an admission or what's going on with the day, it can be pretty busy. And on top of all those things that are kind of specific time-wise, I'm also juggling possibly having to help out with a circ for a patient, or juggling the lactation consultant seeing the patient, or telehealth if mom has blood pressure issues for going home, and making sure the pediatrician and the OB doctors and the family med doctors and all the doctors are going to see their patients, and making sure that the patients don't need anything. And pain meds. Ibuprofen and Tylenol are the most common pain meds that we give in postpartum. They're scheduled every 6 hours, so I'm obviously giving those in between all of this happening. There are some days where I feel like I am just go, and it can be pretty crazy, but I have definitely enjoyed day shift life a lot more than night shift. I love night shift, like it was so fun. Great place to start out, but I feel like day shift just keeps me a little busier, and it's so nice to be awake when everyone else is awake. I feel like I've been able to connect with my patients more. But anyway, that is kind of a day in the life of typical shift as a postpartum nurse. I know that there are a lot of people who are interested in going into postpartum nursing, so if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to either message me on Instagram or comment below. I always try to get back to you guys. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more videos from me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.